Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, results strategist, business coach, mentor, and consultant. After over 14 years of being in business and running multiple companies, I felt called to start this show. I see many people struggling to start or grow a business, which is why I want to help entrepreneurs achieve success in business quicker, more effectively, and sustainably. Today, I have an awesome guest. She's the CEO of all of JT Foxx's businesses and brands, an international speaker, and now works with business owners and entrepreneurs around the world on building their personal and business brands, starting with what their business stands for and how to position and market the results that they deliver. Welcome, Francie Baldwin, and thank you for being on my show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's about time that you had me as a guest. I was waiting for when my invitation was going to arrive.
I love it. It's awesome to have you here as well, Francie. And I didn't forget about you. Don't worry. I wanted to, get a few of the kinks out the road first, so we get the show up and running, and then get the awesome guests like yourself in to really take it to the next level. So it's amazing to have you here. And you're a very successful entrepreneur and CEO. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by quickly telling us a bit about you and your journey.
Sure. As you know, my name is Francie, and today I am the CEO for JT Foxx, which means a lot of different things as we've gotten into so many different businesses, brands, investing in other people's businesses, partnering in other people's businesses. But quite honestly, my journey was a little bit different than most people. I went to school, got a great education, got a job, and I had a great job. And I loved, I'm one of the rare people you'll find that actually went to school, got a degree in marketing, and pretty much spent my entire career in jobs in the marketing industry. Really always enjoyed the jobs that I had. And it really was through just trying to create passive income on the side through real estate that I met JT, and it kind of led me down a completely different path where, a lot of people I think end up starting their own business because they see a gap in the marketplace, or they want to do something different, or maybe they want to have the financial freedom that maybe they're not traditionally available through the normal career routes that people can take. That really wasn't the case for me. For me, it was more out of, I started a business with my business partner in real estate, and real estate was something that I knew nothing about prior to really starting a business in it. And thanks to coaching and thanks to mentors and thanks to getting a lot of education, grew a really successful business in that. And I think from there, that is when I kind of was like, well, if I was able to do this with something I knew nothing about, and I actually don't like that much, I don't really love real estate, right? So if I could do it in that, I could probably do it around something that I did know a lot about and I really, really loved and was passionate about, which is marketing. So that's what really led to kind of my first business, if you will, which then led to me working with JT predominantly because I started doing marketing for one of his competitors. That's really how it led me to where I am now. So I think it's a little bit different journey. I think a lot of people kind of end up getting to this point a little bit differently than I did. But I think that's what's kind of cool, is everyone kind of has their own path to getting to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. That's it's a great story, like you said, and everyone's got their story, and I love hearing it. And I think, like with you, you made the most out of it. You had your goals. You wanted to specialize in that marketing area, and then I think the fruits of your labor, so to speak, came to speak. Where you get headhunted, and then you work your way up the chain, and now you're the CEO of all of JT's businesses and brands, which is amazing. From working your way up in a company. So obviously you do great work. So firstly, what's it like to be the CEO of all of that?
I think to be a CEO, to run any company, right? It doesn't matter how big or small, but to be the person kind of running the show, which, Athin, you have your own experience with this as well. I really think you are a firefighter first and foremost, right? There is always, every day there is a problem. There's a fire that has to be put out. You never see it coming, right? You never go to bed at night seeing this is what's going to happen tomorrow. It just comes kind of as the day goes on, as different problems arise. And I think one of the most important things as, you know, somebody who owns a business, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, is to kind of be able to remain cool, calm, and collected under pressure. Because there's always going to be pressure. There's always going to be something that happens. But I say, number one, I'm more like a firefighter than probably anything else. And I kind of thrive, though, in the environment of, I don't enjoy doing the same thing every single day. So working with JT is great because he's always changing, evolving, adapting. So I don't do the exact same thing every single day. I see you nodding your head, though, so I know you can relate to the firefighter.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, you never know what's going to come up, and I think it comes down to that mindset of, like, you know, what is the solution, right? It's like, don't worry about, you know, trying to complain or anything like that. It's like, all right, we're just going to find the solution, like you said, be cool, calm, you know, and then, yeah, work out, okay, what do we need to do? And then whether you can do it yourself, whether you need other people to get involved, and just make that happen. So yeah, really awesome points that you said there. I love that. And like you said, that you like to do different things, and I'm like that as well. It definitely keeps it interesting, and I'm sure with JT, all his different ventures, you're definitely got you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, which is a ball of fun. So what activities do you really spend your time on?
Day to day, it's, you know, I am a fairly organized person. JT, I would say, is not the most detail oriented. He has a ridiculous memory, but is not the most detail oriented or organized. So, you know, I think what I look at almost every single day is my open item checklist and JT's open item checklist, to kind of know what are the things that need to get done. Right now, we're getting involved in a lot of different people's businesses. So it's also kind of tracking what's going on with all those things. Wait, I haven't touched base with this person in, you know, a week. So I need to make sure I know what's going on there. Did this update come in from that person? And kind of working through all of those, which, it's funny, I know here in the US, in some places around the world, we have Shark Tank, some places have Dragon's Den. And then what kind of started is that, like, beyond like, what happens after these people invest? And that's kind of what my world is becoming now, of not only really CEO of just this business, but all these other businesses that we're associated with, and working with and have a stake in. But what I genuinely love still to this day spending time on is when I need to really dig into the marketing side. Like, you know, I've that's kind of what I've always had a passion for. And when I have the opportunity to do that and really kind of spend time digging into a marketing funnel or a campaign or something like that, that's still what I enjoy the most.
Yeah, really great points. And you know, it's managing everything, like you said, and depending on what level you're at, but when you're at that top level, it's really ensuring that everyone's doing their part in the process, and you're keeping things on there, and everyone's got their specialities. Everyone loves different things, so you may as well get involved more on those things, and delegate the others, so to speak. But at the same time, obviously, being the CEO, you still need to know all of those things as well. It's very important in that way. So they're really awesome points. And you talked about, like, obviously you got different checklists and things, like different things that you manage. So are there certain, like, you know, KPIs and metrics that are most important for you to measure and manage?
So it's interesting because I would say that being in COVID-19 and this pandemic that we are experiencing, that seems to be never ending and, you know, kind of always evolving, it's been changing and evolving over time. the different metrics. Obviously, I'm always kind of looking at and tracking, just tracking profitability, right? Like that's a really, really important thing to know. What revenue is coming in versus what revenue is going out. And as simple as it sounds, I think a lot of people look at sales, look at like a top line sales number, but that top line sales number isn't going to help you if you don't know what the expenses associated with that and what the margins are. And I think that's really, really important. Over probably since April, I've constantly been reevaluating how do we get expenses of certain things down? How do we drive costs down? What are things we can renegotiate? What are things you can look at? And I will tell you kind of as a little tip for anyone watching in business, you'd be amazed at how many things are negotiable, right? And how many people, if you go to them and say, if I pay you 6 months in advance, will you give me a discount? If I do this, just how many things you can work in discounts and price breaks and find ways to actually help cut back expenses. So I think that's like a big one that I've been keeping my eye on more recently. I think some other KPIs is really tracking output. Now, this is a challenge for me. I'm not a micromanager. I don't like to micromanage people. I'm very, this is what I want someone to do. Get it done, right? Not what did you do today? How much progress did you make? How many calls did you have? What happened on each one of those calls? How many people hung up on you? How many emails did you I don't enjoy that. And I don't want to do that. But part of it is tracking that to be able to kind of evaluate over time, especially right now, everyone's remote, right? Nobody's going into a centralized office. There's a lot of balance of trust, but also output. And, sometimes, it's looking at and asking the questions to an individual or to their manager. Does that volume, does that output justify 40 hours a week? Right? And kind of asking the tough questions and doing a lot more call tracking and email tracking internally to know what the team is actually doing and asking, the biggest thing. And again, I don't enjoy doing this, but when people like to tell me there's just not enough time or we can't get it all done, because I think that's what a lot of employees say, which I understand. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'll turn around and ask people, I want you for the next week, document how much time is being spent on each thing. And then you'll find when somebody actually has to write down the amount of time being spent, that it takes 8 hours just to do this, that 8 hours all of a sudden becomes 5 hours because they know that it's being tracked. So I think there's becoming this new balance of used to be in an office with everyone. Now a lot of people are remote. So figuring out what the KPIs are there and then adjusting KPIs and metrics on marketing too, I think is a big one right now. Of really being able to know, not are you making money on marketing, but what exactly is working, what campaign, what ads, how many things is someone being exposed to before they're purchasing, and really kind of getting a lot more granular on the marketing KPIs than we probably ever have before.
Yeah, that's so many amazing points there. And I really loved it how you sort of broke down the differences now with, office versus, COVID style of home, and then how you're tracking all of that. And that's really important. I definitely track like time and other things as well. And then, it allows you basically to then go, okay, like you said, this task is now taking us 8 hours or 1 hour, even like whatever the time is. Okay, let's try and do it in 75% of that time. Let's try and improve it. Or is there ways of innovating it, right? Like sometimes it can be a simple thing of just doing it, or sometimes you can give people the challenge. Or I remember a story of JT saying where you get somebody else in to do the job, and if they can do it more into that output or in a shorter period of time, then you can prove that it's able to be done like that as well.
And I think a big thing, and not that I've done this with every single task, but there's been a lot of things where I'm like, well, let me do this and see how long it takes me to do it. And, again, not that I love doing that, but I think some of it too is, as the leader, you have to have a concept of when somebody's saying how much time it takes or how much work goes into something, you have to actually have a grasp for how much work does really go into that task, and what's the importance of that task to the overall business, and what is the chain of dominoes that task creates. Because sometimes, just this week, there was a task that I was like, okay, stop doing that, right? It's taking up X amount of time. That particular thing is not mission critical to anything. So if in the course of each day, that's going to save someone 3 hours and it's really not the most important thing, just don't do it. And I'm telling you, that's okay not to do something. So I think, it is important to kind of always be reevaluating things. And also, I think my biggest thing personally is when people will say, well, that's the way it's always been done. Well, now it's 2020, there's more technology, systems work better. Even technology that we've had for 10 years doesn't work how it used to work 10 years ago. So that's great that we've always done it a certain way, but let's just explore if there's a more efficient way to now go about something. So I think it's a really good practice to kind of always be reevaluating those things to see where you can be more efficient and see really where the best use of everybody's time is.
Yeah, definitely. So many amazing points there. And I think it comes down to the culture and everything of, you're obviously wanting people to innovate and build the company forward. And that comes down to JT and yourself, to really drive that from the top. Obviously you want to bring it from the bottom up as well, but your guys' vision and your work ethic and what you provide is obviously the foundation, the catalyst for that. So how do you lead and motivate your staff along with, building and maintaining that high performance culture?
It's definitely, there's an ebb and flow there, I think, for sure. I mean, just like anyone during this period in time, especially, I didn't think I was as much as an extrovert as I guess that I am. Like, any quiz would always tell me I'm an introvert, but when you force me to be alone by myself in my house 24/7 all the time, I would think I'm not as much as an introvert as test might lead to tell certain people. So, I've had my own challenges of, okay, not only how do I motivate a team, how do I motivate myself to get up and want to get all of this done and take care of the entire team and motivate the entire team? And I think it's a little bit of balance. JT can be very, very tough, and every single person that we have that works for him and works for us and works for the company right now knows that. He has really, really high expectations. I think, as most entrepreneurs will find, typically nobody works harder in your business than you do. And that's something that's very, very difficult for you, the entrepreneur, to ever understand, right? Like, if I can work this hard, why aren't everyone else, right? I give you a paycheck. I'm doing this to ensure everyone has a job. So why don't you want to work on weekends? And why don't you want to be working at 10 o'clock at night? And why don't you want to be on this random call that I'm doing at 5 a.m. in the morning? And I think that's where we have balance, because he can't compute why everyone doesn't want to work 18 hours a day. And I can understand why everyone doesn't want to work 18 hours a day, because the reason that they work for him or work for a company or work for you or have a job is because they don't want to work 18 hours a day. They want to work 40 hours a week. They want to have every weekend off, and, they want to get paid a steady paycheck and then have family time. And listen, both things, there's not a right and wrong. Both things are okay. And I think that part of what I have to do in the motivating the team is bring the balance to that. Let JT say what he needs to, let JT kind of lay out his expectations, and then politely or not so politely remove him from the call, and then kind of say, all right, listen, this is what we need to focus on. This is how we need to get this done. And I think more of what I focus on is explaining to the team why something's important. So instead of just saying, you have to do this, it has to be done, I need more out of you guys, you're not meeting my expectations, explaining this is important because, we're spending X amount of money on marketing. I need to know this, and not just, okay, this is how many leads we got, but I need to know in more detail what's happening on the sales call, what's happening on what is happening on each part, because it's important to know where we need to be spending money, if the campaign's working, if it's not working, if we need to go in a different direction. And the reality is this is important because if we're spending all this money and not making all this money, I don't have a job for you anymore. And, I'm pretty straightforward with people in that sense of, this is the expectation, and this is why this is the expectation, and this is why it's important to you and the company and everyone. So you got to kind of rise to the occasion, or maybe this isn't the right thing. And I think sometimes that's kind of, the motivation portion is explaining to people why it's so important and why JT has the expectations that he does. But then also, you have to remember to tell people when they did a good job on something, when they had a great call, when they got a report done that was really, really valuable, when they launched and sent out an email that got a really, really great open rate, and not forgetting to tell people, hey, great job on that. Hey, that was really good. Hey, thanks. This looks great. That website looks like, and remembering to tell people when they also do a good job on things too.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I've definitely seen that over a long period of time. Even obviously I'm not in the business, but on your lives and everything with JT and all the other videos where I think you do an amazing job at managing, JT, he's a powerhouse, his energy and the way that he is. And you bring that other side of, balancing, the conversations and maybe the areas that he's not necessarily focusing on. You complement each other very well in that way. So I think, obviously he's very grateful of you being there, and I think you probably enjoy that as well, even with the challenges that come with it. So and obviously, to some extent you would do it to JT, but even in your people and just people in business in general. So how important is coaching and mentoring, for everybody in business?
Coaching is beyond valuable. It really is priceless in the sense of coaching, mentoring. It helps you see the things you aren't seeing. It helps you come up with ideas that you maybe didn't even know were there. And a lot of times, I think for business owners, for entrepreneurs, executives, staff, anyone, coaching can also help a lot in maybe sometimes how to also better manage a situation, right? Coaching is not just about how do you grow the business, but how do you grow your team? How do you grow your customers? How do you deliver a better experience? How do you be prepared? In any business, you're going to go through legal trouble at some point. How do you prepare for that? How do you protect yourself against certain things? And by having a coach, it gives you somebody that's been through it, experienced it, has a different perspective, has an outside point of view, and has a non-biased opinion with experience behind it to offer you. And I think that's really, really important, because when you're in your business, it's really hard to come up with a solution sometimes, or look at something from a different perspective than how you're seeing it. And I think coaching can be really, really important for that. And coaching can just help you in the areas you don't know anything about. Right? There's been a lot of times I haven't known about something. We've never done it before. I'll do an extensive amount of research and then go to one of our coaches and basically say, okay, this is what I'm looking at. These are our options. This is what I'm thinking. And if nothing else, coaching gives you the reassurance you're making the right decision. I think the one thing that can kill any business owner is doubt, insecurity, and kind of second guessing yourself. And if nothing else, coaching is going to give you the confidence and security that you're making the right decision and you're going to go in the right direction. And so you're not saying this is the decision, but was that the right decision? Like, it leaves you in a place of really feeling confident and secure of what you're doing to move forward. And, you know, I think doubt and insecurity is what ultimately can absolutely end up ruining a business and a business owner.
Yeah, so many amazing points there, Francie, and I definitely completely agree with you with all of those. So, you know, we connected at Mega Success, where you led the stage alongside JT in front of 2,500 people. You have a wealth of knowledge in business, especially with marketing, and are always willing to help people when asked. So I'm very grateful that we connected, and I look forward to working with you in the future as well. And
well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. And, you know, thank you very much for your time today, Francie. I'm sure many people have greatly benefited from your valuable wisdom. So how can people find you and get in contact with you?
Social media is typically the best. You can find me Facebook or Instagram, Francie Baldwin, or at Francie BB on Instagram and at Francie BB on Twitter. And always check out Mega Events is JT Foxx, our event business, where we always have all of our different events and educational content for different business owners and entrepreneurs. So that is always another great place to go. Or millionaireflix.com as well.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way we know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. Have a great day.